I am so excited, and we are so lucky to have Mary Mahoney and John Helterbrand with us today to tell us more about this exciting program. I'll do some quick introductions here. Mary Mahoney is the Vice President for the Replacement and Leisure Division at Enterprise Holdings. And in that role, she provides leadership and guidance for their largest global accounts, as well as being responsible for client and industry relations in the insurance, collision, dealer, OEM, and leisure affinity segments. Mary also has many years of experience in the vehicle collision and replacement industry. Our other speaker is John Helterbrand. He is the National Program Director of Collision Engineering Program. So again, thank you both so much for being here. We're so excited to hear more about this. You both support a mission that's near and dear to Wynn's heart, resourcing the industry. So with that, let's go ahead and get rolling here with the first question. Mary, can you tell us about the Automotive Collision Engineering Program announced this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Valerie. Hello, all of our Wynn friends out there. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting us here today. It's a privilege to be with you, such a great organization, a great partner to the industry, and a great partner for us. So thank you very much for including us in this program with you. So let's talk about Collision Engineering Program. And that is the Enterprise Rent-A-Car Foundation, another side of our house, and Rankin Technical College here in St. Louis joined in collaboration to launch a 2-year pilot. And really what happened was the foundation has invested a substantial amount of money into a 2-year pilot to test a concept, to test a unique model for collision repair that Rankin has. In addition to that, we're investing in the industry's first digital advertising campaign to tell everyone that this is an amazing career opportunity for students and everyone, in addition to raise awareness with student counselors and parents as well. And the third part about this overall program is a real key part of the Rankin model, and that is education and industry coming together to try to solve this problem. Neither one of these entities can do this on their own. So it's education driven by industry and industry support. And so with that, what we also did is build a small but powerful advisory team to support and guide us. That includes both educators as well as industry leaders. And Valerie, if you don't mind, I'd love to just take a few minutes and tell you how the heck this all started, because I rent cars and now I'm doing this. But what happened was I'm on the CREF board. So it was about 3 years ago, Carolyn Kindle, she is our president and CEO of the Enterprise Rent-A-Car Foundation. And she's Jack Taylor, our founder's granddaughter. And she came to me about 3 years ago and she said, "Hey, Mary, have you ever looked at the collision repair curriculum over at Rankin Technical here in St. Louis?" And of course, I never even heard of Rankin, to be perfectly honest. She goes, "Go take a look at it and tell me what you think." And so, not being an expert, I grabbed all of our members from the CREF board. We took a trip. We spent a day and a half at the Rankin building, understanding at a very deep level what the model was all about. And at the end of that session, we kind of all looked at each other and unanimously said, wow, we think this is a model that could help us supply the industry with capable, prepared students at the time of graduation from the moment they walk in the door at a shop. In addition to that, she had me take a look and talk to a company called TMP. It's an ad agency out of New York. And this agency is somebody that has worked with Enterprise for the last, 25, 30 years to help build awareness and recruiting strategies around working for a rental car company. The point is that the rental car industry was no different than where the collision industry is at today. That's where we were 30 years ago. Nobody wanted their child to go and work behind a rental counter, and nobody saw that as a career. And so over time, working with this company, we've changed that perception. And today, I think we receive about 1 million applicants a year. So we took those components, we built a business plan, and we presented it to Chrissy and our Carolyn Kindle, and off we went. And then once we were just getting started, bam, COVID hits, and that put a stop to everything. But I think, like all of you believe, anytime there's a crisis, there's always opportunities and there's always positives within that crisis. So during that downtime, which was over 15 months, John and team identified some real key opportunities to make this program better, to reset it and reshape it, and off we go. So we launched in January, and we have 4 schools on board, and here we go. Right, John?
Right, Mary?
Long
Fantastic.
answer, but I hope that was what you were looking for.
May have been long, but it was a fantastic answer. So thank you, Mary. Can you expand a little bit? Why is a program like this so important? Why did Enterprise get involved?
Great question, Valerie. I would say there's a couple of reasons. First, we're a privately held company and we buy a lot of cars every year. We're a risk buyer, and what that means is we own our vehicles and we're responsible for maintenance and repair. So we buy about 1 million cars a year. So the health of this industry is really important to us, but more important is supporting the industry and what's important to them, supporting our partners in the industry. So we're very committed to trying to solve this big challenge we all face. And this is just one step forward. I mean, it's no surprise that this industry faces unprecedented challenges in trying to grow our workforce in numbers and skill set to sustain the business. And we're absolutely committed to try to figure that out with everyone else in the industry. And then on top of it, we're in the middle of a paradigm shift with the rapid pace of vehicle innovation and connectivity. So not only do our collision repair experts have to repair a car, they also have to understand technology and engineering to ensure a safe and proper repair. So we alone cannot solve this problem. No one company can solve this problem. It really is industry and all of us working together to try to move this forward. And you know, Valerie, maybe after this, we can partner with WIN and figure out things we can do together to help support the program. But we need everybody's help.
Yeah, we are all for collaboration here at WIN. Why is it important that the industry get involved to solve this technician shortage? And how is this program uniquely positioned to solve the problem?
John, you want to touch that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Wynn, for letting me be here today. Actually, the problem is really going to be a lot of people involved. There's going to be a lot of people getting involved in this. And what I mean by that is this is a this is a very large problem across the country. And we know that we have to have many people with skin in the game on this. And what I mean by that is it's not just education systems and the body shops and stuff like that. It is also multiple people involved. And what I mean by that is this, is that we have to really be prepared to look at what the needs are for the student. The students' needs was, we need to get them working as soon as possible. And what was that going to be? Yeah. The whole idea behind what we did at Franklin when I was department head was to get students out to work as soon as possible to try to stop this and I would say it's actually a bigger problem than most people realize, because it's not just the collision side; it's all aspects of auto collision, automotive. Yeah. So we really we put something together that I think that you'll find out as we go through this that is pretty innovative, and it takes a lot of people to have to change their mind in what we look at in education and what we do, how we teach our future instructors, our future collision engineers. So. Yeah.
That's great. Can you tell us more about the industry companies that are already involved?
Sure. When we started this, I was so thrilled. I had so many companies go, I want to help, which was so refreshing. So we have companies like Geico, Progressive Insurance, American Family Insurance. We have iCar. We have Chief Automotive Technologies. We have IAA. We have, of course, the collision side of the business, which is critical. We have Caliber and Gerber and Service King. We have SCRS to represent the independent shops, Aaron Schulenberg. Did I forget anybody? Oh my God, very important. Ford. With the Ford certified programs as well. And these shops are a really important part for us because they're allowing us to place students in their shops for the internships. And we're going to need more and more shops as we expand and roll the pilot out. So yeah, great group of advisory folks that are helping guide us and make decisions, because we don't have all the answers. So very helpful, very good team, don't you think?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Love to hear all those names of groups that are already involved. How does this program benefit the industry?
Well, the industry, I think how really it helps the industry is we are giving students to industry the way they need them. And what I mean by that is a lot of industry right now struggles. We get industry looking for young folks that actually, in some cases, already went to school for a couple of years, and they're expected to perform at a different level. Unfortunately, that doesn't work well. Through all the research that I did prior to changing the program, we realized that students really needed to be with their employer. And we teach hands-on skills. And as we teach hands-on skills, we teach it, we actually will grade upon it, and then they move to the next subject. What we realized is the industry needed people sooner than later. So the ability to bring somebody on much earlier, and like the way it works here, it's an 8 on, 8 off type of process. And it goes through the summer. What it allows us to do to really take an advantage of that student being able to go into the industry, understand their culture better, understand how and then really kind of improve on their hands-on. As an instructor myself for many years and a technician, I can tell you that it takes time. You have to constantly practice. You couldn't really do that in an educational facility because students get bored quickly. And the other aspect of that is I'm an instructor. They don't know what it's like to be in industry. So for us, what we've found is that the student learns much better, much faster, because now they can actually see what they're doing. They can see how they're participating as a team. So getting them in early is probably one of the most important things that we can do for any student.
Yeah. So when so 8 weeks in the classroom and then 8 weeks working inside a repair facility.
Yep.
Taking what they've learned in a classroom and really applying it.
Yeah.
So by the time they finish graduation after 2 years, they've got a lot of exposure and experience into what the position is really all about. And it's been so valuable.
Yeah, and Valerie, I'll tell you something else that I could tell you is it's about the skin in the game piece.
Yeah.
We need to get everybody could see what the instructors can see, and that is they watch a student come in that knew very little, but have a passion and desire that is bigger than you can imagine. And then I got the opportunity to watch people grow every day. Yeah. If the employer can see that, they're going to be a lot more understanding. Plus, we're not going to overwhelm the student and their skin in the game. When I look at skin in the game, for years, all I did was teach students. But let's go one step further. Let's take a student that maybe really thought they liked it, and then all of a sudden, they decided they didn't like collision after their one internship. And I have a lot of people go, well, they left me. They got out of the industry. And I always tell people that's really good. I talked to people for years that went to 2 years of school and they got out and they left because they were never able to get into a shop. Or when they got into a shop, they didn't like it. Here's an opportunity to keep what we really look at the numbers and making sure that those students that go into industry is about staying in the industry. And why would we want to waste precious time for that student where that person could go do something else? And then we could also, why would we want to waste the employer's time when we could get somebody in there that wants to stay with them? Because at the end of the game, the end of this whole piece of collision engineering we talk about is full-time employment. Yeah. We want them starting, we want them to be happy, we want the employer to be invested in them. And then at the very end, we want them to have a long-term employee that feels like they're part of the family, or part of the solution.
Yeah. And when you think about it, Valerie, your question earlier was, what's in it for industry? It goes back to education being driven by industry. When the two of them work together, like it's a big ask to ask a shop to take a student in for 8 full weeks, not just sweep the floor at all, but to apply real skills is a big ask. But the industry understands this is what's going to help develop well-prepared technicians long-term. And also, we think it's important to financially support that. So these students are earning a salary while they're working in these shops. And we subsidize part of that salary with our shop partners for this pilot. So it's a win-win for everybody and really focused on what's most important, and that's learning and experiencing. Did I get that right, John?
You're right, Mary.
Okay, good.
That's absolutely fantastic. What colleges are currently participating in the collision engineering pilot program?
So we have, the original college was Rankin Technical College, who participated and started the program when my team and I put it together.
Yeah.
Then we went into Lake County in Chicago. Great people there.
Yeah, great school.
Great school. We have a young lady with Contra Costa. Matter of fact, she's on here today. I know it's her
Yay,
name.
Contra Costa.
Go, Laura.
Yeah.
Contra Costa has got some people there. Great college. And then we've got one in Waco, Texas, who really has a big opportunity too, with Texas as large as it is. But
Yeah.
yes, but those right now, and we do have a few others that are in
Yeah.
the pipeline as well. So it's, everybody, as you look at these programs, what we realize is that, the states and counties make a big difference in how you can actually teach the product. So many of these areas are going to take a little bit of time to get completely, fully vested. But the idea is that we do have some great people, and they truly care about students. We have to understand that, when we we're looking at schools, it comes to that individual instructor. And if you've met any of these instructors, they're extremely in touch with their students. And this is what this is. I mean, this goes back to everybody's skin in the game, the instructor, the college, if you look at the employer, the people that invest even the curriculum and knowledge that we need in our industry. Those are all pieces that they all need to have a little skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Great schools.
Yeah.
And it's also a big challenge for these schools to be a part of this. There's a lot of things they have to do. And Laura from Contra Costa has been tremendous in embracing the program. They have to change a lot of things in order to be a part of the pilot. And I know she was one that was all over it, but
Yes.
so it's not so simple as just turn it on.
What I will tell you, something that's also very amazing with the instructor is that most of us, we spend a lot of time in the classroom with our students.
Yeah.
We never hear if we really are doing what is necessary. What I will tell you is last week we had the opportunity to go to California with Contra Costa and meet with Laura with her advisory board meeting, stuff like that. And we met some amazing women in technology, and we met some amazing opportunities for our students. I will tell you something that we're all very excited about this. And when you take on a project like this, there was a lot of man hours put in by my team and myself. But a lot of these young people, or a lot of these other folks that are out here, they may only be one person. Laura's one person.
Laura's the instructor.
Is the instructor and a department head. And she does have some help here and there, but I will tell you something. It just shows you the dedication that somebody has
That's what it takes.
and that's what it takes. At the end of the day, it takes a dedication. And that's what we're here for. We're to help those folks that want to make that change.
For those colleges who do want to get involved, how do you evaluate? How do you decide that a college is a good fit for the program?
Well, it's changed a lot, Valerie, and it's interesting. Mary mentioned COVID. Think about what we used to do. We used to face-to-face stuff like that. And we always kind of thought, well, you go to the boss and it trickles down. It's almost a little bit different. I will tell you, for me, it's more of it starts at the bottom up. Because if I have an instructor that has the want and that they want to sell the program, and what we can do is we go in and help them. So first of all, they have to want to change. The collision industry has been changing for many, many years. And if we have instructors that don't want to change, then that hurts our ability to get those students out the way we want them. The next thing is we have to have the college. We want colleges that are recognized by the government as providing an associate's degree that is recognized across the country. We do that because we want to make sure that our students, they may not realize it now, but we don't know. I know for my own person that later on, you may want to gather a little bit more education. So we're trying to help the young person out. And it also allows that young person, that future collision engineer, to be what we call a lifelong learner. So the programs are all associate degree rated programs. The other thing is we want to make sure the industry or our counterparts, the VPs of education, the deans, the presidents, understands what we're doing, because we're asking them to do something that is kind of different for them. And we asked them, number one, to go through the summer. Number two, we asked them to do half of a semester, and we want them to come in, we want to give them 8 weeks of training, and we want them to go out. And in order to do that, you're changing the way that school has really worked for a long period of time. So those are some things, people will say, well, what about equipment? What about the curriculum you're teaching? Well, I want them, if we've got good instructors, we usually have good instructors that are forward thinking enough, they have good equipment. But if they have something they need to teach something, I'll give you an example. Maybe they've got all this stuff, but they don't have an electronic measuring system, or the system is not as outdated. Those are things that we can fix. We can't fix it if you haven't invested in a paint booth or a mixing machine or something like that. So we're very wise about how we're spending it, but I will tell you, we want to work with people that really want students to succeed. And I think that we feel like we've got a very vested group of people here, and the people we're bringing on. So.
Yeah. Big change.
Yes,
Change.
different than what we expect.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're getting more and more calls from schools that are learning about it and that are looking for something new and something different and want to be a part of it. So it's really encouraging.
Oh, yes.
We're not ready yet, but I'm excited to hear that. That's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take.
I think another thing that's really here that's happening big time is we're starting to see the influencers. Many of us have got children in school now. How many of us got to go to school and we had a job at the end? Here's an opportunity for a young person to come in. These schools understand the proper way to educate, or at least how we educate. And I think that gives them that opportunity to have those numbers that shows we have students that are graduating programs, and they're out there working. So I think it works really well with the schools. In the long term, it really works out.
It will.
So, oh yeah.
It will.
Oh, absolutely it will.
Yeah, I'm sure those numbers speak volumes. We have a couple questions in the chat here. One question, how can shops get involved in the program?
Well, there's a couple ways that shops can get involved. So one way to get involved is we've got shops that are, we have them on a list. And if a student, for instance, I guess I need to go back a little bit. Our students are all geolocated. So I don't know if you understand what that is, but that means that if a student is in Texas, we want to make sure that students, when they're done with their training, they are hooked up with a shop in Texas, close to home, because we know the numbers are not good if you try to move them out. Okay. Now, difference if you're military used to move in. That's a totally different demographic, but most students. So first of all, if we have a student that recognizes one of our schools, we're going to find out where they live, and then we're going to reach out to some of the shops that we know that are on our list. And our list are things like, we'll go to Shopology, buy Shopology from iCar, look for that. We'll call them, we'll do tours, we'll do anything we can to get the student in. So first of all, anybody can be involved, all right? The second is what we call shop vetted students. Now, a shop vetted student is a little different. Shop vetted student is somebody that's in our industry, that's in that industry. Maybe they're a detailer, maybe they're a young kid coming up, and that shop owner wants that student to have the best education possible. This is going to allow that employer to send them to one of the schools, and then they can come back in 8 weeks and work for them. And that gives a whole host of opportunities for that employer, as you can imagine, with helping with fees, costs, different things. So there's two really ways of doing it. What I will tell everybody is that we all need to get involved in our high school programs. If they're involved in our high school programs, they can then get the word out that, hey, there are these schools out here that are putting people to work, and I want them to be put to work in our neighborhood. So how are we going to get these schools to go to these, or these students to go to these schools, so we can actually be more prepared for our future.
So if shops are interested today, and that's, again, the pilot is small, but they should reach to you.
Yep.
And we can give your contact information. Yep. I think long-term, where we really see it, and where I think Carolyn Kindle views it as well, is that we have great technical schools in every market around the country, and working with industry within that local market, shops, enterprise, all industry partners, and supporting that school to constantly have a supply of technicians coming out of that school into their marketplace. And for us, we have 65 operating groups around the country. So we really view that we'd love to see 65 different technical schools with a program like this. And that's really the long-term vision, because each market then can supply and keep with that industry can keep the supply flowing, is what we're thinking.
Yeah, and I think that even if you look at this program, anybody, the whole idea is to change the industry. The whole idea about what we're doing here is changing the way we think about the industry. If we're education, my employer always told me that if you're not doing what the industry wants, then you're not teaching. And to me, I have two people that I got to take care of, and that is the employer and the student. So if I don't look at the industry's needs and perform and give them the things that they need to be those students to be successful, then I'm not doing my part. So what we ask is we constantly are asking, is this what your needs are? Because if not, we need to change it. So we have to be able to be, nimble enough to go out there and move around if we need to. Because as you know, industry's changed quite a bit in just the last few years. And then you bring things like online learning to the table. How does that work? There's a lot of different pieces that we're trying to figure out. So
and the curriculum constantly has to be changing
yes.
now as well. Certifications, all of that's so important.
You're right, Mary. And I think what's really crazy about it is,
Thanks, John.
You're right, but because we talk about it all the time, Valerie. This is why, because we can't get too comfortable in our educational piece. A book is solid. It doesn't move much. But you know what? With all of the stuff that's out there, that's changing all the time. For instance, everybody that knows anything about repairing a vehicle, and there's a lot of them on the phone or on this webinar, they know that they have to check to find out if the repairs are the same as they were last time they repaired the car. So what makes you think that education shouldn't change like that? We can't, you don't set something up and it stays dormant for 5 years. We have to constantly go in and make sure the students are getting what they're getting. Who knew that when I first got into this trade, we had 2 airbags. Now we got 10 and 11, 12 of them. So we have to constantly talk about different opportunities.
Do you have airbags now?
Yeah, they do. You can't see them anymore. These have big steering
kidding.
wheels, not our little steering wheels.
Just kidding.
So
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, that the only constant these days seems to be that change is constant. So more important than ever to be flexible. John, can you expand on the structure of the program and how it differs from traditional school training programs?
Yeah. So the traditional training program for most instruction used to be, we had these 4 pillars of education. One was non-structural, structural, collision mechanical, and refinishing. And what we do here is we break that all down into more of the automotive, the way automotive looks at things, and that is what can you get students to do first? So we took all those pieces and laid it all out, and we look at basic to basic or very fundamental all the way up to your advanced. Now that said, there's already a piece of the program that we're already working with, and that is the 8 on, 8 off. They're going through the summer. They're either 4 or 5 semester programs, depending on where the schools are located. But the idea is we need to be able to bring students in to perform something in 8 weeks. And those things are very important. Those things are safety. They're understanding information. We have to make sure they can R&I parts, understand nomenclature. We have to be able to straighten a bumper. We have to understand how to properly connect a battery. Now, there's more to that than just connecting a battery, let me tell you. But we have to be able to maybe mask and prepare a car for the paint booth. And we have to learn how to do like a no buff car clean. These are things that a student should be able to go in and do. And that's just like a first semester example to kind of give you an idea. These students have to be able to do that in order for the employer then to come in and be able to build on their skills. Now, how we do to help the employer is we have a manual. It's called a internship work manual. And in that work manual, there is all the instructor at the end of the 8 weeks with the student, that instructor fills it out. That then goes to the mentor at the facility, and that mentor at the facility then reviews it. And that tells them everything that they've done for the semester. So, or that's 8 weeks, excuse me. And then what happens is after that, they put them to work on the tasks that they know they can do. They're not going to overwhelm them. They're going to be able to take on these tasks. And they know that every time that the semester comes, those outcomes come a little different every time. Now, at the end of that 8 weeks with that employer, there are some questions that's answered. Number one, the mentor and the sponsor will sit together and they will fill out the same form they got from the instructor. And that is, what did they think about their performances? You know, how did they straighten? How did they do this and do this? And basically what it does, it allows them to do a review with the student, because we found out students want reviews. They want to know where they're at. They want goals. In there, we talk about our employers being more involved. So we have check boxes. Are you going to be returning? Are you happy with the performance? And that's all done in front of the student. Okay. And then after that is done, that is all uploaded to the instructor and that is graded so that they get their credits and stuff for the program. Now, what's unique about it is it's also an opportunity for us to learn more about the industry. And what I mean by that, what do we need to change? We also go out and during that 8 weeks on, the instructor will go out and visit that student at work with their mentor. And what they will do is they will ask questions. They want you to ask questions. We want to make sure that everybody is working together to make the student successful. So after that is done, it's uploaded. The student goes back to school, and then we start the whole process over again. Now, what happens this time is once the student comes back, we will reward the student with $500 as what we call tuition reimbursement. This reimbursement goes to their tuition cost for successfully completing. That, as well as making sure that they were successful and they move on to more tasks and they build on the ones that they had before. That allows them to go back into the industry the next time with a little bit higher level of tasks to perform, and allows the employer to constantly keep track of where that person is. The goal is that when we're done, is that the student becomes more of an asset. And we see that more and more. We've graduated several, many success stories over the years. And that's exactly what it does. It helps them build. It also allows the shop involved and the mentor to know exactly where that student is at and where they could actually improve a little. Now, that said, we do some things to help the transition piece too. We do offer a class before they go to work for the mentor and the mentee to do. We probably heard of DISC training and some stuff like that. We pull them together, they take DISC training. It allows them to look at their profile and see how they fit. And then what we do is we will explain to them how you work better together. Because one of the things is trying to keep the adult learner and the mentee coming in, really trying to get them to work together and how each of them may work in the workplace. It ain't totally perfect, but at least it's a chance to get them together and to think about how each other's works. So we really want as much participation with everybody as possible.
Again, you see the education and industry really working together to develop each of those students. And education's learning from us,
Right.
and the industry, and vice versa. And I mean, it works.
Yeah, and and as we look at this, when we start talking about advanced pieces, as this student goes through the process, and I would say your future collision engineer is out there and they're trying to figure things out. They need to have a good base. And as you work up and you have things like ADAS to deal with, you have to have a knowledge level. You got to be able to read it. You got to understand it. And then you got to follow how to find the information. Yeah. So what we're doing is nothing. I mean, we learned this a long time ago, but it's just really just building on what we already know. And then also allowing them to practice it until success at the shop that we hope that they'll stay at all the way to retirement, I hope.
Yep, all the way to retirement, whenever that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right. You mentioned the 8-on, 8-off rotation. What are the benefits of that internship rotation for the students in the industry?
Well, the benefit is they get paid. That's the number one thing. That's a plus. Because a lot of people want to get into doing something, but there's no finance, they can't make any money. But the other thing is it really allows them to understand the culture. What I found out early on in the program is that students were not successful because of the culture. And you got to remember, a lot of these students never had a job. They never worked a day in their life. They went to school for 2 years, and now they're going out to work for the first time. They don't know what it's like. And so, first of all, being able to go in and be able to really test out the culture, understand people are people, understand that they're building off of what they know, and they can feel good about it. It's also the ability for them to know, or for the employer to see that the student is actually growing, and that they're going to there'll be a place for them when they're done. A lot of times you bring somebody new in, this is what they want to do, but if they're young, they may have all kinds of different ideas. Here's an opportunity to really grow with that employer. So the biggest things that we see here is really the culture building, and it adds something onto the end. Is that there's some things that happened out of this that people don't realize. And the students that were missing school more, stopped missing so much school.
Skipping school?
Skipping school, because, in college, a lot of people will figure out how many days they can miss.
I never did.
Well, me neither. But the idea was we have students that are like, they were here all the time, the whole time. You find out that these folks, it started to change them. So they really started to build their growth, or build their wealth. I would say build their growth and wealth 8 weeks out of school, which, how does that, I kind of ask people all the time, when can that be done any other way? I mean, if there's any other way to do it, please let us know, because we would definitely try it, but it seems to work pretty well.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, I love the title of this program. Can you expand on what exactly is a collision engineer?
Yes, collision engineer. I'm going to read.
We love that new name because it's what they are, right?
Right. So
you wrote a definition.
Yeah, we got a definition, and I want to read this definition because it's hard for me to just come off the top of my head. So I'm going to read it. So it says here, a collision engineer is an individual who skillfully and artfully repairs damage to a motor vehicle resulting from collision or other occurrences, processing integrity to understand and restore highly sophisticated vehicles and their technologies. So I want you to think of collision engineering as it's a goal. I look at, for me, when I got into the trade, and I'll explain what I mean. When I got in the trade, I was a body man. Okay, a body man. There wasn't very many females in our industry. Most of them were secretaries. And I will tell you, it was a really rough time. It was pretty rough. And what happened over time is because of the technology changes and stuff, cars changed, and we became collision technicians. And it's like, wow, we're getting close there. So what is really the next step? Well, I did 20 years in industry. Now I'm 15 or going to be 20 or 19 years in education. And I can tell you what I see is students are becoming more engineers than anything. The technician of the future is an engineer. They take on information. They have to just understand that information, and they have to perform a task. Simple as that. They can't do anything. That's the way the OEMs want it. And that's the proper way to repair a car, to go back on the road so the drivers are not hurt in another collision. So the idea is that look at our future. Our future goal is to change the perception of our industry. Our industry is not what it was when I started in 1985. It's a much different industry. And there's beautiful facilities out there, amazing programs. The idea is that why are we not happy to tell people what kind of wonderful opportunities they are and be proud of the technology that we have. So what I like to say is that I sell a goal to a student. I can't make him a collision engineer, but I hope that a tech of today is a collision engineer of the future. We've got to change what we think a collision technician is. And I think that our students, and I think all of our students in these programs will be our future collision engineers, because they were raised by the industry and the education that came together at a time when it was the toughest. So I will say that we're never gonna. We have to also, during this whole process of collision engineers are constantly getting recertified and qualified for their positions. That's what we do. We have to have students that have a mindset that education is forever. It cannot be just one time and, oh, I'm graduated, I don't have to ever do this again. That is, we have to give them the opportunity to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the new certifications, the electric vehicles are here, whether we like it or not. And then certainly autonomous technologies in cars today. So it's a completely different world. And we felt that to help change that perception, we needed to change what it was all about, because it's an impressive, very impressive career opportunity.
Yeah. I will tell you that sometimes I pinch myself thinking that this is where we're at today in front of this camera, because it wasn't so long ago I was sitting behind I had a bunch of students, and to sit here and think that that it makes sense, and to talk to so many people out there that love the opportunity to be part of this and love what we're doing. I think sometimes I got to pinch myself a little bit, because it was an idea that a team come up with, and it makes sense for our students. Some of the stuff that we didn't really talk about, but when you start putting students to work, one of the things that our organization does is make sure that they can go to work, and that is, you got to have tools. One of the things that we do is we help that student with tools. If the program doesn't have them, then we supply them for the student. That way that the student can go to a facility and work. And we have to think of all the pieces that makes this student successful. Because at the end of the day, we're really here to make the student successful in our industry. And that's why everybody needs to have a little skin in the game. So
some of the investments there, and
Yep.
and so it's about changing perception, it's about preparation, and then making, moving price off the table, not making sure they have the opportunity to take advantage of this. And so we're, one step at a time, right?
One step at a time. And I think that as time goes on, we'll learn from this, and we'll gather more and more information. It'll get better and better all the time.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, the unique concept of 8 weeks on and 8 weeks off is not something that all of a sudden John and team just came up with. In fact, one of the reasons Carolyn Kindle asked me to go look at the Rankin Technical School was because the automotive division of the college had that program in place years ago from a mechanical technician side. And it actually, true story, as I later found out from her, is Jack Taylor, our founder, always was one to tinker under the hood. And he started the business in '57 in a dealership. And at that time, there was a massive shortage of automotive technicians in Missouri. So he worked with Rankin to help find a solution for that. And during that time, they developed this concept. I was at the early stages, but 8 weeks in and then 8 weeks working in a dealership. So fast forward today, I think your school produces, 3,000 technicians every year that are used all over the Midwest. And so that's where Carolyn was coming from. Go look at Rankin and see if that same model could apply. Now, the collision repair, you were already using that concept. So it was unique and perfect, and it was proven, and now we're testing it
Right. So for us,
on our side.
You're right. So what we did is that we took the model that the automotive department was using, and we started to take what they were doing and were successful at it. And actually it's go back to this model. It started off really close to what we call the GM BSET program years ago.
GM BSET?
BSET program.
What is that?
I don't even know.
No, don't worry.
The BSET program. So the idea was it's the body side of General Motors. They got rid of it a long time ago. So the whole idea is to really so we used a little bit of that, but really when it all comes down to changing everything to where the student would be successful the first 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's really what we did. Use the 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off.
It's not rocket science, right?
No, and you just got to try. One of the things we always talk about is you can't be afraid to try something if it's good for the student. I mean,
support the
Yes, we did.
student, support the industry,
Yep.
everybody collaborate. And there you go. We're solving, there you go. It's all solved. We just
Yeah.
need about 80,000 technicians and we're good to go.
There we go.
So no big deal.
Yeah, no big-
You just launched this program early this year. How are things going so far?
no.
It's doing well. I mean, other than the probably, like normal, you got to understand that, we're still not over this COVID yet. But you know what? I think we saw a lot of improvement. I think that people are ready to change. I think that this is at a perfect opportunity, perfect time.
Yeah.
I will tell you that we're full at most of the facilities that I'm working with. But most of them started off on Monday, so that's a good sign. We'll see
Back to school.
back to school. We'll see how that works out, but everybody's excited. I think that's really important to understand. There's some excitement in our industry
Yeah.
because I will tell you, as an educator, it's very hard to get excitement from industry. They're getting a student that comes from that school, but they're seeing excitement because this could be something they participate in.
Yeah.
And I think that's something they didn't have the opportunity maybe in the past. So.
Yeah. And it's a pilot program. And so we're trying to collect as much data as we can and learn as much as we can of what's working, what's not, what should we be thinking about. And I think the lack of data in the past has been what the challenge is. And so we're collecting everything we can from a student putting their hand up because they saw our ad on social media and tracking that all the way through to where they are today to graduation and work. So
Right.
collecting the data will be very valuable for us to share with the industry and to keep things moving. So far so good, very tiny, but well, I'm sure now that we'll have WIN support and come up with some new ideas, it's going to be even better.
We are absolutely here for it. Love everything y'all are doing. WIN does have several student members. How do students apply to participate in the program?
Great.
Well,
Go to our website.
Yeah, go to our website.
BeACollisionEngineer.com.
Yep.
Did I get that right?
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you. You can go look at it now. We're just building it out right now, by the way, but you'll see something there, and that will guide them.
Yeah, you can actually put your information in, and it'll go directly to our in-house marketing, and they will get that information. They'll actually communicate back with you, and then they will actually communicate with the school to make sure that you're getting what you need.
Yep. BeACollisionEngineer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you call us, we'll call you right back.
That's right.
Love that. And thank you, Emily, for adding that website to the chat so everyone can see it if you didn't catch it as we're talking here. I'm scanning. I don't see any other questions in the chat, and we are about out of time here. So I just want to say thank you again, both of you, for being here and speaking about this program and everything you're doing. I think we all share a passion for education and supporting our students and resourcing the industry. And it's fantastic to see everything that you all are doing here.
Yeah, no, thank you. We're thrilled. We've got lots to do yet, right? But we're
gonna get there.
We're going to get there with the help from everybody in the industry. So thank you all very, very much for your time.
Yes.
And let's go get this solved, right?
That's right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.